Hello everyone, it's Lisa Turner from Psycademy here, and today I want to talk to you about something that I think is probably one of, if not the most important aspects of spiritual connection, psychic abilities, and it's something that very few people ever talk about, not very many people understand, but when I explain this, they get it. So first of all, as you'll see in the little headline there, I've said, what kind of psychic are you? Are you a low-level or high-level psychic? And a lot of people will immediately say something like, well, if they're psychic, assuming they're psychic, they'll say something like, I'm definitely a high-level psychic because I'm really accurate. Well, here's a hint. Being a high-level psychic has nothing to do with accuracy. I'm going to explain this whole concept, and when you get it, it will blow your mind wide open. You will definitely want to be a high-level psychic because, I mean, let's face it, high sounds better than low, right? Well, it's not what you think. It's not about being accurate. It's about the kind of connection you have and what you're connecting with. So you may have a really, really, really strong, deep, powerful connection, but not necessarily with the highest level of vibration. So it's not about how strong your connection is, it's about what you're connecting with. So let me ask you some questions. So do you think it's really important to use psychic protection when you're working? Do you find that when you're working psychically that sometimes you get connected and sometimes you don't? Do you find that you are really, really accurate? If you are spot on accurate, exactly the name of the person who's passed over and a whole bunch of information about them. Now, if you're answering yes to this, you're probably thinking, well, I'm a high-level psychic. Well, what about if I told you there was another way, a way that's even better, even more empowering and powerful? Because you see, why do people go to a psychic? If we think about it, let's start with that question. Why does anyone go to a psychic? Now, some people go because they want to be entertained. And I'm guessing if you're watching this, you don't really want to be an entertainer. You're probably not really in the entertainment business. You're in the transformation business. You're in the healing business. Yeah? So what if I told you that actually there's another kind of connection, and it might be something like this. So let's think about it in terms of the mind. I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. So let's start with, oh, hi, Chrissy. So let's start with, by the way, pop your questions, pop your comments in the little commenty thing. I will, if you're listening to the replay, watching the replay, don't worry, I will come back and I will answer your questions and come back later. And let's keep the questions to, about psychic development. I get a lot of people who ask me to connect to their dead, passed on beloved one, and that's not an easy medium to do that in. Anyway, so interesting use of the word medium. I am a medium, but not that kind of medium. Certainly not a large, not a small either anymore. Anyway, so let's talk about the different kinds of it. So do you get, like, when you get a psychic message, is it kind of like a vague hunch or like just a feeling or a sense, or do you get really specific solutions to problems? Do you find that sometimes your psychic, your spirit guide tells you to do things, gives you instructions and gives you warnings and says, if you don't do this, then this bad thing will happen? Or do you find that your guides are very expansive, they give you choice and they give you options? Are you able to speak only to people who've passed over? Or do you find that you tend not to connect with these people, and more often you're finding you're connecting with like non-physical, highly evolved beings who don't even necessarily have a name? So let me explain to you the two different types of psychic that I'm talking about here. So you might think that being accurate is really great, but what if it's not? What if when you're accurate, because the only way you can be accurate, like if I say, I know that that's a water glass over there, my spidey senses tell me there's a water glass there. The only way we can know that is because we know that. We know that there is a water glass. Hurrah, look, my spidey senses are working. So my daughter calls them my spidey senses. So so the only way you can be accurate is if you get information that is already known and verifiable. So what does that mean? It means it's information on the earth plane. Do you get that? Right? If it's information that is absolutely can be accurately verifiable, there's a desk, I'm knocking on it, is because you're getting information for the earth from the earth plane. Now, if you're getting information, spooked the dog there, he thought that someone was knocking at the door. If you're getting information that's like unverifiable, you don't know if it could ever be accurate because it is beyond. It's beyond the beyond. It's information that's never been known. It's ideas that have never been thought of before. It's totally, totally inspired. Okay. So where do these two areas of information come from? So let me explain. So you have in your mind, there are three areas of your mind. There's your conscious mind. That's your logical, rational mind. Then you have your unconscious mind, which is everything else. That's kind of the domain of the emotions. And then you have your higher self, sometimes called the collective unconscious. Now, so a low-level psychic is brilliant at connecting their conscious mind to the unconscious mind of themselves and another person. So they can absolutely get information that is known by that person because they're going in and they're going into that person's unconscious mind effectively. It's not exactly like they're reading their mind. They're picking it up in a different way, but they are getting information that is known either by that person or by someone else. It's verifiable. Now, a high-level psychic works at the level of the higher self. So they, if somebody asks me, oh, can you communicate with my, person who's my dead beloved one? Typically I can't. Now I used to, and I probably could if I really wanted to, but I don't, because that person's passed on. They've returned to source. Why would they want to be dragged back? Right? And there's another whole Facebook Live we could have about ghosts and guides and what happens to you when you pass over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you the difference between a high-level psychic and a low-level psychic and things to look out for. Now, if you're thinking, oh my God, I'm a low-level psychic, I'm doomed, you're not. That's part of the stepping stone. It's the first step to becoming a high-level psychic. You can't really become a high-level psychic unless you go through the unconscious mind first, through the low-level psychic. But the problem is the very vast majority of psychics get stuck there because it's so interesting, it's so fascinating, and I will be honest, it's so entertaining. And it's so entertaining for your clients that your clients will go, wow, that's amazing, you're amazing, and our ego really loves that ego stroke. So what if I said you could leave that ego stroke, you could leave that and you could go somewhere even further, even better? This is where, when you're working at the level of the higher self, you get information, but you get inspiration. And you're able to create transformation. Because the real reason a client comes to a psychic, the real deep reason, like maybe they want to be entertained, and they're certainly not my clients, but maybe they're really into the transformation. They want some kind of healing. There's something in their life that isn't working that they wish it did work. And that's where a high-level psychic really comes in. So let's look at some of the differences. So, and I call it PsyQ because it's like it's your psychic intelligence quotient. So low PsyQ, this is where I call them entities because they may not necessarily even be guides. So entities, they contact you anytime, they'll interrupt you, they'll barge in, and if you tell them to go away, they won't necessarily. That's because you're connecting with some aspect of the unconscious mind that isn't really open to, it's not connected to source, so it's not really open to, and you're not vibrating at a level where you can really influence that level of energy. So high PsyQ, the guides, your spirit guide will only contact you when you want. And the really important thing about this is you'll be in control of it. Anytime you ask a question, you'll get the answer. You'll be able to connect anytime, anywhere, at will. So low PsyQ, contact with your guides might be a bit hit and miss. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. High PsyQ, anytime, anywhere, you choose. Low PsyQ, you might find that if you ever walked into a room and go, oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. Well, you know, that bad feeling. So you might pick up negative emotions and negative vibes, right? And so with a high PsyQ, you can experience non-judgment and forgiveness of all things. So nothing's either good or bad. It's just this will work and this won't work. So, for example, on a particular day, you might be able to tune in and go, this is the food for me. That's not the food for me. And it's not, oh, that's bad food. It's just, that's not the food for me right now. So do you get the difference? It's subtle, but there's no judgment. It's just, that's not what I need right now. It's a bit like, you know, when you're rummaging in your toolbox and you want a spanner and you pull out a hammer. It's not an evil hammer. It's just, it's not what I need right now. Yeah. Low PsyQ, guides will tell you what to do. And they may even threaten. And this is something I'm noticing more and more, that, so here's what I'm noticing. And it's something to watch out for. If you go to a psychic who says something like this, they might say, you have to worship me, or you have to worship my guides. Typically the guide will come in and say, you have to worship me. And they may make demands, demand to be worshipped, demand to be adored. Where at the high level, with high PsyQ, if you're like, imagine this, like, why would God, who is all powerful, all wonderful, everything, God is everything. Why would God, source, need to be worshipped by anything else? Because God is everything. So it's like, God is me and my little finger. So if I just say for the moment, I'm God, and I'm not for a moment suggesting I am God. We're all God. We're all connected to God. But just say, I'm God, but I'm also my little finger, right? And I need my little finger to worship me and admire me. It's like, well, no, because God, source, knows that it's everything. So it doesn't demand to be worshipped by a particular aspect of itself, right? So if you ever get if you ever communicate yourself with a guide who demands that, or you're talking to a psychic whose guide does something like that, demands some kind of worship or adoration, tells you what to do, threatens, if you don't do this, I will punish you. You will be punished. Why would source, your higher self, ever punish you? Your higher self is by definition all forgiving. Okay. So the other sort of signs are, so a low PsyQ, guides will tell you what to do. Whereas, and if you ask a should question, oh, should I do this or that? Your guide will say, yes, you should do this, not that. Whereas you're a high level guide and the level of the higher self, you won't get the answer to should questions, because there is no should. The word should presupposes that there's somebody over there who's not you, whose job it is to tell you what it is you should and shouldn't be doing. And that's not how source works. That's not how your higher self works. Your higher self may encourage you to and inspire you to take actions that are the greatest expression of you, but there's no judgment of what that might look like, what that might be. The greatest expression of you, whether it's being a brain surgeon or a musician or anything, it's the greatest expression of you. Prediction of the future. Now, a low-level psychic will and may give you predictions of the future, and with low PsyQ, you may get predictions. I very rarely give predictions. There's a very specific way I do it. I'll explain that in a moment. But with high PsyQ, being a high-level psychic, you know that you are creating your future. In fact, the ultimate thing, the thing that your higher self wants for you most of all, is for you to express your free will to create that which you desire. Oh, did I channel that? I think I might have. So your higher selves, the only thing your higher self desires for you is for you to have free will to choose to create what you desire. So they're not going to tell you next Thursday you're going to have lunch in, I don't know, a particular restaurant or meet somebody with a red coat. Or, they're not going to say that. They're going to ask you, what do you want? Now, there are some there'll be someone trying to give me PPI stuff. So there'll be some very specific ways, the very specific ways that I do predictions, and actually rather I observe the future, and it's this. So if I get a client who comes to me and they say, you know, I'm struggling to make a decision and I don't know if I should do this or this. So first of all, I'll say, well, I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but what I can do is together we can look at the different options and we can give you likely, not guaranteed, but likely outcomes. And that's been really, really helpful for people. It's like, okay, this could lead to this, could lead to this, this could lead to this, could lead to this. What do you want? What do you want to do? So high PsyQ, they know that you're creating the future. Okay. Low PsyQ, you only get vague hunches, maybe some gut feelings. You kind of go, ooh, that's good, ooh, that's bad, but you don't really know what the deep message is. High PsyQ, you get very specific solutions to problems. Low PsyQ, the insights that you get will be they will in some way, shape or form limit or restrict you, rather than giving you choice for expansion and growth. Okay. So a high-level psychic, a high-level guide will never tell you that you can't do something. They will give you options for ways that you could achieve a particular thing, and the things that you might need to do and who you might need to become in order to achieve that outcome. You may not be able to imagine them at this time, or you may not want to. You might, it's like, yeah, I could probably become a lot of people tell me, because I love cycling and I love swimming, and I'm not bad. I'm not brilliant, but I'm not bad at both of them. People immediately, very often go, you should do a triathlon. But here's the thing. I don't want to, because I can't be asked to do that much training. I like a bit of a run sometimes. I like a bit of a cycle. I like a bit of a swim, but don't really want to compete. It's not my thing. Not willing to. Now, if I did, my guides would tell me the best way to do that. Next one. So I'm going through a little list here. So low PsyQ, you can only communicate with people who've passed over, whereas a high-level psychic will be able to speak to people who are, speak to guides who are highly evolved beings. They're often non-physical. They're almost like a stream of consciousness. They've often never lived and often never will. Sometimes they're from completely other dimensions. And here's the thing, would you rather speak to dead Uncle Bob, who might have been a bit of a miserable bugger in life? He's going to be a miserable bugger in death. Or would you rather communicate with Source directly? Because Source, there's nothing that Uncle Bob will know that Source does not know. I'm going to say that again. There's nothing that a dead person knows. There's nothing that a dead person knows that God or Source doesn't know. So why wouldn't you just go straight to Source? Because the dead person, I'm being a bit blunt here with my language, but the dead person may still have some kind of an agenda, and they may not realize they're dead, and they may attempt to use you or your client to get you to sort of fulfill their agenda. So the best thing to do, send them back to Source, send them to the light, speak to Source itself. Low PsyQ, you get information that's already known, so you can prove your accuracy. So I never prove how accurate I am. I'm not interested in that. I could say, yeah, I know what color somebody's undies are, or what's the name of their dead dog, or what color their kitchen's painted. And I used to be able to do this. And in fact, I probably could if I tried, but I'm just not interested. If someone comes to me and go, oh, can you tell me something about me? And it's like, often when I answer that question, I will tell them something that they don't realize about themselves. And they'll often almost reject it, thinking that it's not accurate, because they're looking for me to tell them something that they already know about themselves. So what I tend to get, and as a high-level psychic, what you would get is insights that are not really known, and they're often extremely surprising. Now, that brings into the question of how do you present that information to a client so that they can accept it? And often the way to do that is some very careful linguistic and questioning skills to assist the client to reveal it for themselves. Again, low PsyQ, you'll feel the need of protection. I need to protect myself from all the evil things that are around me. Well, that makes no sense. Here's why it makes no sense, right? Here's my logical, mathematical, science brain coming in. So we're supposed to be like the idea of spiritual evolution is that we become one with everything, except the bad stuff that we have to protect ourselves on. We've got to put this barrier between us and some other part of us. It makes no sense. It's like saying I have to protect myself from my pinky finger, which might stab me in the eye. Oh, I got to put up just bullshit, right? Just drop it, right? Because the whole point of being a high PsyQ is you can resonate with all energy. Now, you may say, you know what? Right now, I don't want my pinky finger to stab me in the eye, but great news, I'm in control of my pinky finger, so I don't do that, right? You can resonate with all energy, and you're aware that you can influence all energy. Now, if any of this is resonating with you and it makes sense, then click the little like button, click the little heart button. If you're really liking this, then feel free to share this, because I think this information is probably the most important thing that we could understand about our spiritual connection. I think low PsyQ is one of the things that brings the whole spiritual industry almost, and this is a very bold statement, almost, or possibly not into disrepute, but certainly into where it could be considered. It's sort of like, a lot of psychics are afraid of being made fun of by the rational science people, and because a lot of the low PsyQ stuff makes no sense. Whereas at the high level, high PsyQ, in fact, a lot of scientists are working at the level of the higher self. They just probably wouldn't admit it, and they may not even know it, and if they did know it, they may not admit it. So low PsyQ, you might feel confusion and uncertainty and a lot of anxiety. Now, high PsyQ, when you're connected to source, right, you're going to feel security, and if you're connected to source, to God, right, and you know that you are part of God, then surely how can anything harm you? So there's no reason to feel uncertainty. And any confusion you feel will only be because you've forgotten that you're connected to source. Low PsyQ, you can answer trivia questions accurately, whereas high PsyQ, you're always guided to your highest good. So you don't get the trivia. This is about big impactful life purposey things. Low PsyQ, the information is often very intriguing. It can be very entertaining, can be very fascinating, but it often has very little practical use. So, I remember once when I was back in the days, my early days, and I was doing low PsyQ stuff, and I was working with somebody, and I could tell him in great detail exactly what his front garden and his kitchen looked like when he was growing up as a child. And he was like, wow, that's so amazing. That's so amazing. And honestly, my ego loved that. But he then started to ask me questions about, some challenges he was having in his life. And I wasn't at that stage able to help him. That's where I knew I wanted to go further. That wasn't the trigger, but it was one of the triggers. So high PsyQ, you can solve problems. You can help people or yourself to achieve your goals or your outcomes. You can become a greater expression of your higher self, of your soul. Now, low PsyQ, and this is a great thing, with a lot of the question, why? Low PsyQ will be able to give you like a low-level psychic and low PsyQ, you'll get the answer to why things happen. Now, high-level psychics may get that, but they may just say, well, it doesn't really matter why. And in fact, in most cases, a reason why is actually what limits somebody. So at high-level psychic, it's more about getting healing and growth and power to change what's present. Whereas a reason, like a why, so let's explain the why, the why, and why it can actually hold us back. So for example, somebody might go to a psychic and say, I want to get a particular job. Every time I go for an interview, I don't get picked. Why? Right? Now, the reason why that a low-level psychic would be able to pick up is it would be because of something that happens, let's say, they would be able to pick up that in that person's past, they'd had a terrible experience doing a job like that job, so that caused them to radiate out the idea, don't give me the job, to whoever's interviewing them, so they never get the job. So the why is because they had a bad experience, and that's either causing them to self-sabotage by not behaving appropriately or, expressing themselves in the best way in their interview, or it will cause them to kind of send, like, your limiting beliefs are beamed out to other people, so they pick up on them, and they'll reflect that back in their behavior. So, and that's just the story. Like the fact that you had a bad experience is meaningless unless you give it meaning and make it mean that's why I don't get the job I want, or I don't earn the money I want, or why I can't do this thing I really want to do. Where a high level psychic, that doesn't, like, that's just a story. That's not you. You're infinite. You're limitless. You are infinitely powerful and capable. The only thing that's an issue for you is that somehow you've forgotten that. Somehow there's some limitation that's been placed, some veil that's been placed between you and what you're actually capable of. Okay? So a high-level psychic will be able to assist you to find that and release it. Wow. So, so those are my thoughts on being a high-level psychic or a low-level psychic. If you like this, if you found it interesting, what do if you liked it, you found it interesting, if you loved it, click the like button, click the love button, let me know that that it resonated with you. If some parts of it you kind of went, oh, but I thought being a psychic was all about speaking to dead people and, seeing spirit orbs. By the way, a spirit orb isn't necessarily the thing. I mean, it is or it isn't. It's just a blob of energy. It doesn't necessarily have any meaning, right? So, what parts of this challenged you? What are your questions about this? I know a lot of psychics really reject this because they want to, they've built their whole career on being almost an entertainer. And all I'm saying is, hey, you know what? I know there's more for you than that. I know there's even more. You can be even greater. There's more work to do. There's bigger help, bigger solutions that you can offer people. So what are your questions? What are your thoughts? Would you like to be a high-level psychic? Let's do that little poll. Who'd like to be a high-level psychic? Who'd love to just stay being a low-level psychic? It's a slightly loaded question. Now, if you're interested in learning how to be a high-level psychic, or if you know that you're kind of already on the way to that, or if you want to be, and see, the thing about being a high level, there's no limits, right? There's no, oh, I'm high level now. I could tick off all those things, therefore I'm done, right? That's the biggest sign that you've hit a block, is to think you're done with your spiritual evolution, right? So if you know there's more for you, you want to evolve even more, I want to share with you, we're running a live event. It's called How to Be a Six-Figure Psychic and Spiritual Leader. And we're going to teach you, guess what, how to be a six-figure psychic and spiritual leader. And the key is, I've made it, it sounds like six-figure, it's all about money. Well, it is, because the way to become a more successful, more financially successful and spiritually successful psychic is to be a high-level psychic. So people are saying, yay, it makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So if you want to join that, if you want to come to that event, what I'll do is I'll pop a little link in the comments where you can read more about that event. It's as I said, it's a live event where we're going to work one-to-one. We're going to remove some of those blocks between you becoming an even higher level psychic. So if you're watching this, you're probably already psychic. You may be on the way to being a high level psychic. You may not be. You may be at low level. That's fine. But there's more. There's more for you. Wherever you are, there's more. Do you agree with that? Do you agree? Do you agree that you have untapped potential that you haven't realized yet? Like, do you think that do you feel and sense and think there must be more for me? I know I could do more. I know I could help more people. If that's true, then say, yep, that's me. And I'll pop a link in the comments box, and it would be great if you joined us on that at that live event. One of the things I will be doing at the live event is I will be channeling my guides, No One guides. So what I do is I invoke them, I bring them into my body, and you'll have the opportunity to not just ask, you'll have the opportunity to submit questions beforehand. And during that, we often open a dialogue to be able to dialogue with source, high level guide, highly evolved stream of consciousness, non-physical entity, multi-dimensional entity. You'll be able to dialogue with them directly. And we'll also be doing this thing I call, so it's an initiation into your higher self. So what we'll be doing is we'll be bringing your higher self above your head and then bringing it into your body, so it's integrated within you. Now, once you've experienced that initiation, you'll be able to do that at any time. You'll be able to connect with your guides, with your higher self at any time. So Lorraine says, can't figure out the low-level stuff, but I can the high level. Fantastic. So you're already on the way to becoming an even higher level psychic. And that's the thing, Lorraine, is like, know that there's always more. So just because I, gave you, I don't know, 12 or so signs that you're a high level or a low level psychic. Just because you ticked off those 12, you don't think there's a 13th or a 15th or 127th, because there is, because it's infinite. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for today. So as I said, if you like this, click the like button. If you really like it, if you think this is important for other people, other psychics to know this, share it. I'd love it if you share it. And as I said, I'll pop that little link in for you. So till next time, my darlings, hope you enjoyed this. See you soon. Lots of love. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.